it's me, Lila Kitty. Let's see if what I'm seeing on my screen is going to be blown up and untrimmable once the video is done, which really fucking irritates me. Today, I'm going to go over my educational credentials. So, I graduated high school and I've attended college, and so I'm going to go through my unofficial transcript online and then calculate my GPA in the end, and also along the way talk about like some of my job experiences and why there were gaps. Okay, so all logged in here. This is my course history, which makes all of this a lot easier to look at. But then if you want your unofficial transcript, obviously this is what's on there, and it's all like ugly and clinical and black and white and weird looking. Okay, so I'm all signed in here on my course history, and we're going to start at the beginning. First fall semester, I took... Oh my goodness. Oh, that's because... Okay, so I started out in college as an engineering major. So I was like looking at this like, oh my gosh, 7 classes? What kind of was I on? Okay, so... but a bunch of these are like seminars and meeting things for the engineering major. So analytic geometry and calculus 2, which I ended up withdrawing from. Now this is actually a really good lesson to teach people. So starting at the beginning, I'm from a very small town where the classes were small, everybody knew everybody else, so certain things like nuanced aspects of the education system, I guess you could say. So like grading on a curve, or like talk to your professor if you miss an exam, or like were things that I wasn't familiar with at all because those just didn't happen where I was from. So if you weren't at school, everybody knew, right? Everybody knew. If you didn't show up and nobody called, someone would walk literally half a mile to your house and be like, what, where are you? Are you dead? Is your house on fire? What the fuck is going on? Right? So there was none of that. Nobody was missing tests. Like if you were out sick, oh, sit at home, right? There was no like, none of this, oh, there's 100 or 1,000 people in a lecture class. Here's how you handle that sort of situation. And so, and it's not like you start a class and the professor is going to announce, oh, by the way, if you mess up and mistake that the final is on Tuesday, but it's actually on Monday, oh, well, just email me and let me know that you screwed up because shit happens and we'll see what we can do for you. That's why I failed a couple classes. Shit happened, and you don't even think to like just assert yourself in that sort of a way. You just go, oh, damn, I'm an idiot. I failed a class. Guess I gotta retake it. So that's one thing that I want to point out from the gate is kind of when you get into college, there's a lot of, or like it's like grading on the curve, or so for instance, analytic geometry and calc 2, I ended up taking the W because after like the first test and I only got like a C on it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is horrible, like I can't handle this, I'm gonna quit. The grades end up being on a curve. You could literally fail every assignment but then get like a B on the test and still end up with an A in the class. So me sitting here doing really bad on assignments freaked the fuck out and dropped the class late. I probably would have ended up with an A in this. But nobody's sitting here when you're like, nobody says this to you. Like, just finish. It doesn't matter how bad you think you're doing in a class like this, because you're probably doing better than you're actually able to keep track of. Right? There's my W. Now, this semester I took this Calc 2 and I also took Chemistry 2 for a retroactive credit sort of program. So because I had these classes when I was in high school, you start out in Calculus 2, and whatever grade you get in Calculus 2 is the grade that you get for Calculus 1, and you get the free credit hours for that same grade. So I ended up withdrawing from Calc 2, but I stayed in Chemistry 2. I ended up with a B, and then I was given free 4 credit hours of a B in Chemistry. So then there was Intro to Industrial Engineering, which I got an A in. That's the introductory to industrial, obviously like what it sounds like. Engineering Assembly, which is just for the credit that you took it. It was just kind of like all of the engineering students to get together like once a week and just, I don't know, stare at each other or get to know each other and stuff. So kind of like a networking event. Honors English 1, which I got a B in, and that's just what it sounds like. It was like an English class. I think that was the class though that was in the room, and it was like the front was like a normal room, and in the back there was like 3 levels of risers with desks on them, and so there was only like 25 of us in this class. But one day in the middle of class, it was like it started out like underneath the things there was just like a little bit of water, and we're kind of like, oh, that's weird, and then it kept growing and growing, and within like half an hour it was like there's like a puddle, and in order for us students to be able to get like out of class, we had to like leap over this puddle of water, and they ended up finding out there's a water main that broke in the basement, and that building like ended up being shut down to be repaired in its entirety. It was freaking wild. Okay, so then Engineering Honors Program, I think that was just based on my high school GPA, and it didn't necessarily mean anything. I don't remember. Chemistry 2, which I got the B in. Okay, so now moving into spring of 2001. Public Speaking 1, I got an A. General Psychology, I got a B. At this point, I was not a psychology major yet. I was switched my major to something more science oriented at this point, but I only was in that major for a semester, and I'll get into that in a minute. So then voice class 1, I got an A. Analytic geometry and calc 1, I ended up getting a C in. But at that point, I'd already kind of realized that I didn't want to be in engineering anymore, and so taking calculus was no longer necessary, and I think I just flaked it off. And another thing to say too, as naive as it sounds, I had literally like no idea how important like your GPA coming out of college was still going to be relevant. So to me, the only thing on my mind was just graduate. Right? This idea of like, no, you really should be putting in the work to come out of here with like a 4.0 GPA. It just didn't really seem to matter that much to me. And another thing that's interesting kind of, or funny to point out, is when I was in high school, I was fully aware that I wasn't getting like the instructions of how life will move forward past high school and getting married and taking over the family farm. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on my hometown or where I'm from, but when I went through a major bout of depression and self-harm on the grounds of I don't like it here because it's too small, there's nothing going on, I want to be able to be involved in things that I'm actually interested in, people literally thought I was crazy. Moving on. Principles of biology, I got a B. So intro to sociology, F, and principles of macroeconomics, F. I got my dates mixed up in days, and both of those finals were on the same day. So I got a twofer on that bullshit. Expository writing, 2. I got an A. I think that was, I don't remember. Okay, whatever. Writing papers. Principles of macroeconomics. Okay, intro to PC, word processing, spreadsheet, intro information technology. Those, it was like one class, and it was split into thirds, and it was literally just like learning how to use Word. Learning how to use Word, learning how to use Excel, and the intro to information tech was like, I think, just like a general how to use a computer sort of thing. And that was like straight up required at the time. So it didn't matter what your major was or gen eds or anything like that. It was like everything required you to take this class. So intro to sociology, fall of 2002, I got a C. So you might be wondering, well, what happened to fall of 2001? I just realized I totally skipped over that. The spring of 2002. Fall of 2001, I did the Walt Disney World College program, and I worked at the Animal Kingdom as a custodial hostess. My biggest memory from that, of course, fall of 2001, was evacuating the park on September 11th. So then we moved to the modern era, which was a C. That was like basically like world history from like World War I to the present, I think it was. And then French 1, I got a B. I remember, and this is going to sound so stupid, but I had like the weirdest sinus infection from speaking so nasally all the time in that class. Oh, that's my memory of that. When I came back from the college program, I decided to major in fashion design. So I have apparel design and production 1, which I got a B in. Abnormal psych, I got a C. Psychobiology, I got a C. Intro to moral philosophy was a B. In fall of 2003, I literally don't remember taking that. Whatever. And then retook principles of macroeconomics and got a C. Spring of 2003, long story short, when I was on the college program with one of my best friends, we sang together and we did a lot of musical stuff down there, and we ended up getting the attention of someone pretty major in the music industry. And so we went back down to Florida for that semester, found out that he was kind of skeevy creep, and abandoned that, tried to make it in Florida. It wasn't really working. We were like, we need to go back to school. So we went back to school. I switched to psychology because I was interested in the topic, and it was the fewest credit hours to graduation. I took creative drama, theater 664. This is the bomb. The Safeway sparkling water, the cranberry raspberry. It's awesome. Okay. Just because I didn't want anybody to think I was drinking a beer. Okay, anyway. Creative drama, I got a B. That Oh, and then fundamentals of acting, I got a B. Drugs and behavior, I got a C. That still blows my mind, but it was only a 2-hour class. I'm not really sure like what went on there. Women's Glee Club, I got an A, and University Band, I got an A, but both of those are no credit classes. Intro to Cultural Anthropology, spring of 2004, I got an F on the final. Don't really remember, but like you could say, like my head was just not in the game. And so if your heart and your head really just isn't in it, don't go and don't go back and don't spend the time. Like, this was a very bad idea. I mean, learn from my mistakes, right? If you're gonna go. This always reminds me, I'm a big fan of Making the Band, and it reminds me of, I think it was Michelle, that was having that dilemma of, should I stay in school or be working on this? And I remember Lori Ann Gibson being like, school dream, school dream, school dream. That's legit. Do not take that for granted. School dream, cake or death. Make a selection. Okay. Moving on.